Hello everyone, this is the next lesson in Unit 5, the causes and effects of the War of 1812. Now this is another war between the United States and England, but we're going to find out today how and why this started in the first place. So, what were the causes? I'm going to talk about 8 of them. And I will go through this as quickly as possible, and if you need to rewind and rewatch, go for it. So, the first one is impressment. What is impressment? Well, the British were stopping American ships, and they were forcing American sailors into the British Navy. So they were basically kidnapping Americans and forcing them to fight in the British Navy. Not very nice. That's reason number 1. Reasons number 2 and 3. Reason number 2, Britain was seizing American ships landing in French ports, and this was a violation of the neutral rights, and they were taking cargo. So number 2, the British are stealing from American ships. Also not cool. Number 3, the Embargo Act of 1807. This attempted to solve the problem diplomatically by closing all American ports to foreign trade, but this was unpopular. Why was it unpopular? Well, if you close off the ports in America, guess who's not making any money on trade? Americans. So a lot of Americans were not happy with this idea because if they were not trading with other countries, they were not making money. So this didn't work out exactly how they wanted it to, and this was unpopular. Reason number 4, 5, and 6. Here we go. Number 4, Tecumseh, a Shawnee Indian chief, attacked frontier settlements. So some of the Native Americans are now attacking Americans. And this is obviously causing conflict. So number 5 then is Americans believed the British were encouraging these Native Americans, or the Shawnees, to attack them. So this upset the Americans. Reason number 6, a gentleman by the name of William Henry Harrison then defeated the Shawnee at the Battle of Tippecanoe. Yes, that is a very fun word to say. Say it out loud. Very good. You sounded really good saying it. And the final defeat and death of Tecumseh occurred at the Battle of the Thames. So, that's 4, 5, and 6. Number 7, the British have not yet left the forts in the Ohio River Valley and are limiting territorial expansion opportunities in the West. So even though the Americans defeated the British in the Revolutionary War, some of them still have not left. British people, leave! They still haven't left. This is upsetting Americans because they cannot expand themselves west because the British are still there in the way. And number 8, this is also a matter of national pride. America's like, look, we won the Revolutionary War. We can't let people start pushing us around, or everybody around the world is going to see us as people who cannot defend ourselves. So we need to step up and defend ourselves so people don't continue attacking us and bullying us. So, there are supporters for the war, war hawk Republicans, mostly from the West and South. They're ready to defend America. They're like, let's go. Henry Clay of Kentucky, he's the Speaker of the House of Representatives. He's a supporter. John Calhoun, a senator from South Carolina, he is ready to go. All right. So, what happens in June of 1812? Thus, it's called the War of 1812, if you didn't notice that. Okay. President James Madison asked Congress for a declaration of war. It is about to go down. War of 1812. Let's go. So, the Battle of York. The Battle of York. York is now what is present-day Toronto, which is a major city in Canada. So U.S. wins a victory in York, and this kind of starts the War of 1812. And then these troops loot and burn the fort and town. Again, this is the capital city. So there's battle starting to take place, and again, the war has now started. Well, what do the British do? Well, they retaliate, and this is the burning of Washington, D.C. So what happens? The British capture D.C. in August of 1814, and they set fire to the presidential mansion and the Capitol. I learned when I was in Washington, D.C. last summer, actually, that they taught about the original Capitol dome getting burned, and it was made of wood back then. Now they're stealing it now to help hold it up. But I found that really interesting, is that they burned it down the first time. Madison escapes to Virginia, and his wife, Dolly Madison, saves a lot of valuables from the White House before the British were able to burn it, which is a good thing. The Battle of Fort McHenry. The British advanced to Baltimore, and they bombard Fort McHenry in September 1814. Francis Scott Key witnesses this attack, and his poem about it becomes our national anthem. Our national anthem, which we still sing today before a lot of sporting events and things like that, is written then. I will absolutely spare you me singing this out loud. All right. I know some of you are probably like, "Come on, Mr. Strahota, sing it for me." Trust me, you don't want that. Okay, so I'm just going to move on. Alrighty. The Treaty of Ghent. So after battles across all of North America, a treaty is negotiated in December of 1814. So the war ends in a stalemate with neither side gaining or losing territory. So nothing super duper crazy happens from the war. The British didn't gain more land. They obviously didn't lose it because they already lost this territory to America. America didn't gain or lose any more territory either because of this. The Battle of New Orleans. So however, word of this treaty has not yet reached New Orleans. So there's still a battle going on, and this is the Battle of New Orleans. In January of 1815, General Andrew Jackson, which if you've heard of him before, he will eventually be a president of the United States, he decisively defeats the invading British during this battle. And this makes Andrew Jackson a national hero, which again will help propel him into being our president here in the near future. So what were some of the effects of the war? Surge in American nationalism. Hey, the British didn't defeat us this time. We defended our territory. Go us, all right? Yay, America, all right? So there's that surge in nationalism. Leads to an election of James Monroe as president. The era of good feelings from 1817 to 1825. Things are going really well, and this is a good time period for the people. And one political party, the Republicans, dominate politics. Some more effects. Judicial nationalism through Chief Justice John Marshall. Court establishes the power of judicial review to check to the other two, as far as the legislative branch and the executive branch, with Marbury versus Madison. Again, this is a very crucial Supreme Court case from this time period where, again, judicial review is needed to make sure things are constitutional when we create laws in our government. And this also leads to McCulloch versus Maryland and establishes the supremacy of the national government. If you'd like to look some more on those, feel free to Google them yourselves, but I don't need to spend a ton of time in detail on those. Economic nationalism through Henry Clay's American system to unite the country. And there's three parts to this: a protectionist tariff, the second national bank, and international improvements to our roads, canals, and railroads. Sorry, I was stumbling for the word I was looking for. But basically improvements to our infrastructure. There's the word I was looking for. Improvements to our infrastructure. All right, I knew it would come up. All right. U.S. increased stature in the world. So again, people around the world are seeing, hey, we can't just go invade the United States and defeat them easily, okay? They're going to stand up for themselves, and they're able to protect themselves. The Monroe Doctrine asserts U.S. role in the Western Hemisphere. Again, you can Google the Monroe Doctrine, but really simply what the Monroe Doctrine said was that the Western Hemisphere is off limits to other countries coming and claiming land. And if you come to the Western Hemisphere and you start trying to seize lands, that is going to be taken as a threat to the United States. It also mentioned that the United States is not going to get involved in battles and power conflicts in Europe. And again, you're not allowed to come take our land, and that's why this Monroe Doctrine line is written here. And this is basically the United States, Uncle Sam, saying, you Europeans do not come across this line in the Western Hemisphere and claim land. We will not allow it. And the Adams-Onis Treaty with Spain brings Florida into the U.S. So finally, now Florida is a part of the United States, and thank goodness, because now we have Disney World. Woohoo! All right. So that is our notes concluding on the War of 1812. Hopefully you enjoyed some of the humor, and hopefully if you want to find some more research on some of these ideas, feel free to Google them yourselves. Make sure you're filling in that guided notes page. Once you complete that, please submit it to me. And as always, ask any questions if you have any. Thank you so much for listening to this notes screen recording from Mr. Strahota. Have a great rest of your day.